let your cake get caught on the door.
Superheroes speak, a comic book dream, where legends are born and stories redeem. With Dave, John, and Dawn, who will we cast? A podcast that's here to make the past last.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Superheroes Speak, the podcast that will make the past last, whatever that means. I'm your host, Dave.
I'm John, and I get it.
I'm Dark Dawn, I guess. So here we go.
Dark Dawn. Awesome.
Yes, everyone
I
may
can't have a
have
full name?
noticed that may have noticed there was a little tease of a song that is available on our website. I was freaking bored and I was playing around with AI tools, and first I was playing around with Gemini, which I said, write a song, and I wrote those. I said, here's some criteria, and it's funny. I said, use the host names, and I said Dark Dawn. So every time it references you the lyric, it's Dark Dawn.
Yeah.
And it created these lyrics, and I'm like, oh, okay. But then someone told me about Suno, where you can submit lyrics and say, this is the style of music I want, and like with not even, it's so scary how fast. It wasn't even a minute later, the song popped out, and I'm like, okay, well, that was like the 6th iteration, because you get like I kept tweaking like what I said I wanted it to do, but yeah, and I was just like, why not?
I would have rather heard it in Baroque, but you know,
In Baroque.
So there is a full video that is up on the channel. You guys should go check that out. It's a lot of just images, mainly of John and I through the years at different cons, and some clips from the show. A couple pictures of Don, because unfortunately, you know, you're the newest one on the show, so I just had a couple of your profile pictures from Facebook, and in fact,
we didn't use any of the pictures that we used to get you on the show. We promise to keep those safe until you know.
Private, yes. But hey, in less than a month, we'll get plenty of pictures together at New York Comic Con, so that'll be great. But it was funny because when my girlfriend watched the video, first off, she said it's dirty, I love it, but then she also said, a fish. You're wanting a fish in the one picture. so yeah,
it's one of the hardest fish you can catch. So listen, exactly. I enjoyed it.
That's why you were so proud.
Hey, I had a squirrel in one of my pictures.
Yes. So anyway, if you're interested in watching the full thing after you're done watching this, go check it out. It's on the channel under videos, and I put it on like all the playlists. So go check it out. It's a 3-minute little fun thing that I did. How's everyone doing this week? John, you were saying before the show you had a surprising weekend. You seem in a good mood, which scares me. How are you doing?
Oops. I'm doing good. Yeah, it's been a nice weekend, you know. I got some stuff done that I really wanted to. I paid off half of the price of the roof. I finally sold some of my stock options from my company and for work, and you know, it's nice to pay off a $15,000 bill. Look at me, I'm adulting. So yeah, you know, and then what was it? Agatha Along, The Penguin, and Transformers 1 come out, and yeah, it's been a weekend of surprises. So I can't wait to start talking about this stuff.
Cool. Well, we will get to most of that shortly. But before we get to that, how are you, Don? How was your week?
Yeah, you know, it's been a week. Family and marriage dynamics can be a challenge. But, you know, stay positive and hopeful. Do the best that I can. But I do get to have some fun here with you guys tonight, talking about some pretty cool content, actually. So I'm looking forward to that. How about you, Dave? I mean, other than creating songs with AI, that means you're not going to hire some musicians. They may get upset. But outside of that, how's your week going?
it was an interesting little experiment. I had fun with it, and it did. Like, again, it's how easy and accessible this stuff is scary. And it was free. Like, I didn't pay a dime. Like, Juno has a free tier, and you have so many hours worth of credit to for stuff, and it was just like,
Yeah.
that makes it even better. As a musician, it's funny. It's frustrating because I would even like a tool that I could use in one of my programs that I record music with. That is because they have artificial drummers, right? So you can say this style of drummer, you can plug it in and it'll put a beat to it. But they don't have it for guitarists or singers. Like, they don't, and I can't sing. So if I could type in the lyrics and say, here's the key, and I mean, it's all these programs are smart enough to read the notes and figure out the key and all that stuff. So to be able to say, here's like the words, and here's kind of the rhythm I want, and like generate the vocals, like, obviously AI can do it. So just give me a tool that I can plug in, because I can write chord progressions, bass line, and riffs till the cows come home, but I'm not a good enough guitarist to do a solo, and I can't sing. So that would help me out a lot, because I'm not gonna hire a band. That's too expensive.
I am surprised how well that turned out, and also terrified of what's to come now.
Yes.
You know, between that and people just spitting out 1,000 books a day from that, it's going to be yikes.
So yeah, I mean, other than that, pretty boring week. I mean, I saw some great content we're going to talk about, and I mean, did some housework and stuff. I did my laundry. Though, guys, it's a great feeling when you pull the pair of underpants out of the dryer and put them on warm. And it's even fun when you look around the laundromat and try to figure out whose underpants they are. Oh, there you go. There's pick of the week. John is getting good at predicting.
Yeah.
Well, you come up with better segues. That was, I can tell when the awkward segue comes in.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Also, you have to come up with better dirty jokes. That was tame compared. All right.
I'm trying to not upset people. So let's talk Agatha all along. The first 2 episodes came out this week. I know that we've all watched it at this point. I have thoughts and theories already, but I'd like to hear you guys first. And John, you can go first. What are some of your thoughts and reactions to it?
Does Don want to go first, or do I? Or do you, I mean, Don, you can go first if you want. I'm perfectly
okay.
fine with
I don't have a preference, but all right, here we are. I watched it. I think that this is like WandaVision 2.0, but with maybe a darker twinge. Actually reminds me of like back in the day when I used to play this MMO called City of Heroes, and then they came out with City of Villains.
Yes.
So this is kind of that,
I played that.
Yeah, with the first episode, and I don't want to spoiler, but it kind of being a spoof, like it starts basically like WandaVision. But yeah, I mean, the things that happened in WandaVision obviously happened. They're a big thing. People don't talk about it. But yeah, she's trying to get her powers back, and it's a cool premise. Not to mention, this show kind of threw me for a loop a little bit, because like you got Catherine Hahn showing some butt, and she's telling people to eat her ass. So when I say this is WandaVision with a twinge, like that's what I'm kind of talking about. Like, obviously we're dealing with dark witches here, but even like the humor of the show is just a bit more darker and of a mature tone. So I enjoyed it. I mean, it's not great. All sorts of people, say it's the gayest show. I don't get none of that.
I don't get that either. But hey, you know what? Because one of the main characters is gay, but it's not in your face. But I'm going to say this. We started rewatching WandaVision because my girlfriend never watched it, and we watched the first 3 episodes last night. And it is like, because they're doing shows from the 50s, 60s, and 70s in those first 3 episodes, it's extremely wholesome humor in comparison. Like, that actually is a great analogy. It is like the complete opposite in that sense. So go ahead, John. Your thoughts.
Well, I agree with Don. So I listened to a lot of reviewers about a lot of stuff. And first off, I think that the stuff about it being, very gay and everything, that was in a interview with, oh God, what's her name? The Green
Audrey
Witch.
Plaza.
Audrey Plaza. Right. Audrey Plaza. But if you know Audrey Plaza and you know that she's usually pretty plugged in, and she probably knows very well what happened with the last Disney series with Acolyte.
It also featured a witch coven.
Right. So when you can tell, if you look at her eyes when she's saying this, she's like, oh yeah, this will be the gayest thing, and there's going to be a gay explosion at the end. It's like she is trolling them so hard. There is a huge difference between her, what she's saying, again, she's trolling, and what happened with the pressers for Acolyte. So and again, like I said, there are a couple of reviewers I listen to a lot that they can stray into misogynistic territory, and they do have a point of view sometimes. And I completely disagree with them this time. I think this is way better than anything they've put out in a while. I really enjoyed it. There was some humor right when you thought, right, at exactly the right notes. The production value is really, really good. Catherine Hahn. This is going to be one of those things where we've talked about this before in other stuff like Ghostbusters, where without the people that they picked, it wouldn't have worked. And without Catherine Hahn, I do not think this would work with anybody else. Her personality and her years and decades on the stage, singing and acting, serve her very well here.
I give her so many kudos for doing the nude scene, because it's like, I think she made a point with it, and it was excellent.
It wasn't touched up, right? It wasn't touched up. Wasn't like this perfect
right.
round 18-year-old stand-in. No, it was like 40, 45-year-old little some experience there.
It goes to show you that it's the personality and the person that makes somebody beautiful, because man, Catherine Hahn is gorgeous. Who cares about an 18-year-old? She is just, her personality shines through everything she does. And she is you can tell she's having a blast with this role. She just puts so much into it. So Guy, we didn't have to go there. Try to keep it a little bit clean, please. It's just,
sorry, it made me laugh.
It is. I don't know. I am thoroughly enjoying it. I'm very happy that they made this. There is a lot of buzz again from certain quarters that I listen to that they're like, oh, this is the same thing as Acolyte. No, it's not the same thing as Acolyte.
No.
Talk about gay stuff. That is definite. That side of things. That side of those people that don't listen to them. This is fun. And kind of scary, like Don said. Like there's just this hint of horror, and they do it very well. So it really is something you should at least take a look at. At least the first two episodes, because the end of the second episode is awesome, and it's going to set the tone for the whole thing, I think. Yes, Kassan, I watched it. They did.
I was about to say, I think Kassan is addressing this to Thrawn. No, Don and I didn't watch it. John did, but we'll get to that in a minute. All right, real quick. I agree with you guys. I'm loving the show. It's very well done so far. I have my only criticism of the show, of the first episode, is the whole police thing, the whole police delusion thing went on a little too long, in my opinion. Like, I understand they were trying to use that as a way to set it up, but it was just like, it went on a little too long. Like, we could have done that in like 15 minutes and then started her journey looking for the coven much faster. Like, that's it. That's my only criticism. I felt that bit went on a little bit too long. But I'm going to say this. This is where things are going to get weird around here. This show wasn't made by accident, right? This is part of a plan. And I'm going to stake my reputation on this. Teen is Wiccan or Bill. And he is...
Dave, I hate to say this, but your voice, you're having a little trouble with your internet, and your voice did the exact same thing that he did when he tried to tell Agatha who he was. And I think it's hysterical. I'm like, wait, what? I don't. Wait,
oh my goodness! I don't know how to. It's saying my connection's low. Oh, damn it! Unstable is what it's saying. Crap.
That's what it's saying about you, not your connection.
Close some tabs. I don't. Yeah.
Okay. I'll close the tab and see if it helps.
It's just funny as hell.
So you think that dude is Wiccan?
Yes.
Why would he look so different?
Different than what?
Than the original actor?
Than the original actor from WandaVision. I understand he could be older.
Yes. It's a different actor, and they got an old actor to play him now for it's a more mature role at this point.
Okay.
It is definitely a more mature role.
Because they have done everything in their power to try to not say who this is, but everything points to, okay, good. It says I'm stable at the moment. Okay.
Well,
so
wait, to your point.
Hold on.
Okay.
Let's get it.
Wiccan is Wiccan is described as tall, thin, pale, and gay, according to Marvel.
Okay.
So that's number one. Number two, when he tries to say who he is, and his mouth is shown shut, it's in the shape of a letter. What's the shape of the letter?
W, right.
M.
I mean, well, it's doing a stitch. It's doing a stitch, but the stitch looks like a W.
Well, actually, I think it's an M for Maximoff, but either way. Then finally, who is the only one who could break Wanda's enchantment on someone else? This child. And he needs Agatha to get to the road because the thing that he wants is his mother back.
Right. So, and that goes to the question that you posted.
Yes.
Will Wanda Maximoff make another appearance?
Yes.
And by the way, the team we're talking about, the actor's name is John Locke, but in WandaVision, he was played by Jet Klein.
Okay.
So
I think that's interesting, Dave, because I actually almost forgot about the whole he says his name and you can never hear it. Reminds me of Kill Bill before they let you know that her name was Beatrix Kiddo. She would say her name and they would just beep it out or whatever. So that's interesting. Okay, I'm with you on that one. Because to go along with that, a theory that I have is I believe Aubrey Plaza is possibly playing Blackheart. You may be familiar with him. If not with the comics, he was in a bunch of like Marvel Capcom fighting games, Street Fighter versus or Marvel superheroes and Marvel versus Street Fighter and stuff like that. Obviously Marvel versus Capcom 2. So here we are. We're back in the who's Mephisto world. We've moved on to Wiccan and Blackheart. All right, that's cool. It's got a little bit of a hook to it, though. I didn't expect that. I expected to be kind of bored, to be honest with you.
Yes, because remember the fourth member of the coven, it was a Blackheart. on the paper, and she didn't get that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, who wants to bet that oh God, what is her Deborah Jo Rupp, Mrs. Hart. Who wants to bet that Mrs. Hart actually has some power?
Yeah,
Like
I
she
would
just
say so.
walked over and said, "Oh,
Yeah.
look, and nice garden here. Why don't you come with me?" She was supposed to take was it Aubrey Plaza, Rio Vidal, because Rio Vidal is a
Right.
Green Witch.
So if the Scarlet Witch is going to be revived, which is completely plausible, seeing as she is a comic book character, and particularly she's a comic book character that has self-revived. Most recent example would be the trial of Magneto. That's basically what happened.
Hmm.
But should she get the same treatment as a revived Wolverine / Logan? Like, should Deadpool dig up her corpse and fight with it? And should that be a new tradition whenever we bring somebody back from the dead in the
Disrespectful.
MCU? Or worse?
Maybe.
Oh my God.
That'd be so funny if that was a tradition.
See, Thronkill gets it. Thronkill gets it. Put that up. Put it up, Dave.
Well, you know how to do that. Yeah.
Calling it now, Mephisto and Agatha. He gets it.
Stay tuned.
Maybe.
But
Maybe.
that's interesting. If they really do make this, because right now it's made out to be Agatha Harkness needs her powers back, and to do this, she's got to go probably screw over these other witches on the Witches Road. But it would be interesting if they kept the secret, and Scarlet Witch gets revived, and it's Elizabeth Olsen. That would really surprise me, because it kind of that character is in limbo, but maybe not now.
Well, okay, you guys are Marvel guys, so correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Agatha Harkness later on kind of mellow and become like a mentor, or just? I mean, she's not exactly like a Loki type, but she doesn't make real trouble, but she does help out every once in a while, doesn't she?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Marvel dude, but I can't claim to know a lot about Agatha Harkness. It's
I mean, she's really a secondary character. She's done that in the comics, but like, there isn't like there's a few storylines with her in it, but there isn't like a big. That's why I kind of feel like that's where they're going with this show, is to bring back Wanda. And here's the thing: even if they don't bring back Wanda in the show, they've done so much that makes you think that's Billy. To make him something else means they just put a fake red herring in front of us, all this time, and it's like, no. Then I might not watch any more Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Wait. I take that back.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Rotten Tomatoes, Agatha all along has 80% on the thermometer, and 81% for the audience. So not doing too shabby there.
No. I think that sounds about right.
So I mean, that just goes to show anybody who's trying to paint this with the same brush they painted Acolyte, in this case, totally unfair. Don't listen to that. And I'm not hearing as much as I heard about Acolyte. Sorry, Don.
because I do feel like again, this show is going to be Billy looking to bring his mother back, and then we're going to transition into Vision Quest, which I think will be Speed looking for his dad.
Okay. Sounds like a pretty good thing.
So yeah, that's my take on it. That's what we have to say about the show. I wonder what you guys think. Let us know in those comments down below or on the live chat. I do think she's coming back.
Fair enough, Frankel. Frankel says,
Yes.
Gave Acolyte a shot. I'm giving this a shot. You should give everything a shot, and then make your own decisions, because you know, even when we review something, our point of view may be a little bit different. Some of us stuff might be tainted a little bit with rose-colored glasses because of how old we are, and you know, like there isn't most of the stuff we review is a prequel, a sequel, a reimagining, blah 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 blah. So you know, give everything a shot.
Yeah.
You may like it. You don't have to agree with us, and that's the beauty of it. There's plenty out there for everyone.
Yes. But if you want to know more about Superhero Speak and some other great podcasts to check out, here's Darth Don to tell you more.
Good evening, plebeians. Darth Don here to tell you that Superhero Speak is not just a YouTube show. It is also a website. You will go to superheroespeak.com, where you can find all the social media links to the show, comic reviews by Chris, and most importantly, our merch. You will buy our merch. And while you are on the HoloNet, you must check out the rest of the Geek World All-Star Podcast Network, an influential conglomerate of podcast shows like the Pop Prism Power Podcast, Colt 45, That's So Wizard, Fans on Patrol, Twisted Mind of 8-Bit Ray and the Gorilla Brain podcast, and of course, the powerful Superhero Speak. Plug in hashtag GW All-Stars, and you will not be disappointed. And if you do not comply with my request here tonight, I will torture you by making you watch The Acolyte, the one and only season, over and over again. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a double feature to catch. They're showing Blade 2 and The Matrix Reloaded at the drive-in. Now, back to the show.
Oh boy, my internet connection is terrible tonight.
Somebody's downloading
All
over
right.
your place or something.
It's probably my son or something. But also, don't forget, if you've gotten this far in the podcast and you haven't done so yet, please click that subscribe button, click that bell for notifications so you don't miss us when we go live here Sunday nights, right on here on YouTube and everywhere else. And also, you know, if you like what we're doing, smash that like button because it really does help with the algorithm, gets the show out there more. And if you're so inclined, you know, consider it. Go check out our merch store. Link is in the description below. We got some great t-shirts to choose from. We will be at New York Comic Con, so we'd love to see you walking around sporting one of our shirts. If we see you sporting a shirt, we'll stop and take a picture with you and put it out on our social media. So, you know, there you go. Spot the nerd.
Spot the
CQ right
nerd
there.
at the New York Comic Con. That's like looking for Waldo at a Waldo conference. I mean,
All right. How about? All right. I'm going to ask. I always ask Don. Any new episodes of Omega Level Nerds this week?
No. Life's busy, man. I'm a horrible podcast lead. So yeah, you know, it's random at this point. Appreciate you asking.
well,
All
we
right.
appreciate
Well,
you
go
slumming it with us. So
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, we'll take a quick commercial break and come back and talk all about Transformers 1.
This is so wizarding.
Broadcasting very fast and very dangerous from the planet Malistair. You are listening to So Wizard,
You're thinking, people gonna die?
the only podcast to make the Kessel run in under 12 parsecs.
No one to stop us this time.
I am your host, Joey DiCarlo, and with me, my co-hosts, the queen of all nerds, Aubrey Litchfield, and the expert, Mr. Marquis, Mark Ellis-Reagan. You are listening to So Wizard Podcast, where three friends review movies, TV, and sometimes more, podcasting weekly on the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. Mark Ellis-Reagan's, please tell the listeners where they can find more So Wizard Podcast.
Everybody, you can head on over to SoWizardPodcast.com, and there you're going to find a brand new episode every week. Find So Wizard on all podcasting streaming platforms such as iTunes, Spotify, GoodPods, and pretty much wherever you can find a podcast. Check out our YouTube page, where new content is being uploaded regularly. We also have a Patreon page. For as little as $1 a month, you can receive exclusive bonus content while you're supporting the show.
No, I didn't. First of all, a podcast takes a lot of work, okay? You have to organize the guests, you have to do a Google Calendar, and then you build a following. It takes a long time, and I've been working on it for a while.
All right. Before we get to Transformers 1, John, you did say you wanted to mention the Penguin. That was going to be my recommendation to watch it at the end of the show. But go ahead. What did you want to say about the Penguin, real quick?
Well, like I said, this weekend has been a weekend of surprises. I didn't expect to see 3 good shows this weekend. Agatha All Along, Transformers 1, which we'll talk about in a second, and the Penguin is surprisingly really freaking good. And this is after the debacle that was Gotham, and that whole mess and all the other stuff. Like I did not expect it to be as good as it is. It is what you would expect if you combined Batman Gotham, I guess, with The Sopranos. I mean, I've never sat there. Normally these things are really formulaic, and you just let your eyes feed while it just shows you a story, and you're not really surprised by any part of the story. It's very rare that I go in and I'm sitting there going like, how the hell is he going to get out of this? And then, like the plan comes together, but not telegraphing it to you. So you're like surprised every time something happens. So I'm just recommending that everybody at least see the first episode. They say Batman's not going to appear in it. I don't know if they'll have him in the background or at some point or whatever, because it'd be really surprised if Batman didn't get involved at some level, considering that this is on the level of the mob bosses of Gotham. But yeah, it was, I really like it, and they're going to drop a new episode every week, so I can't wait to see it. So I was like, oh no, Penguin, after a decade of Gotham, like I figured, oh, this is another cash grab. No, surprisingly, writing is really top notch on this thing, and the production value too.
I was shocked that they're not just dropping the whole thing at once, that it is week to week. So yeah.
Well, this is the kind of thing that they have to make this kind of show at this level for the week to week thing to work like they think it's going to, which is to keep people engaged and keep them, on the month to month renewal of the membership. So yeah, there you go. So I just go watch it. It's at least the first episode is damn good.
All right. All right.
Sorry, Kassan said that he had his wife watch the show, not telling her it was Batman adjacent. She really liked it. So, Yeah, it's pretty much what I would expect from even, you don't even need to be a Batman fan. You don't even need to be a DC fan or a comic book fan. This is a good alternate Sopranos show. Anyway, sorry. I'll stop gushing now.
Does he have a full tuxedo on?
No.
Oh, okay.
But you can tell like maybe the umbrella's coming, or this is a more realistic universe. But wow, like he does have gravitas. Like he is going to become a mob boss. But watching how he does it is going to be a trip, man. So there you go.
All right, Transformers 1. So let's see.
Watching how they become mob bosses is gonna be a trip. Come on, it's like
oh. All right.
Yeah.
Am I all right?
I can hear you.
Okay. So Transformers 1. Real quick, let's go through the numbers. Opening weekend so far, as of this live stream, they've made $39 million, which is surprisingly low for a movie like this. At this point.
Especially with one with was it 89% for critic rating and 98% audience rating.
Yeah, that was my
Rotten
next thing is Rotten Tomatoes.
And
And
one
of
does
course,
not make money with toy commercial. One makes money with the sale of the toys. This is Transformers, boys. Like this, it doesn't even matter what they make on the movie. You understand? Like
this is true. You're right. You're absolutely right. Wow. Why didn't I even?
But it is good. But yeah.
All right, and then, and then of course we did poll our audience over on X. We got, what did you think of Transformers 1? 4 options. Best Transformers ever. It was good, not the best. It was okay, and it was terrible. Coming in tied for third place is it was good, not the best, and it was okay, which are kind of the same anyway at 14.3%. 19% was best Transformers ever. And 52% of our audience on X said it's terrible, which is kind of shocking.
What? It's terrible?
Terrible. Yeah.
This is what, come on. X is the home of, bitterness.
And tears.
Yeah. And e-thoughts trying to find incels willing to pay for OnlyFans. I mean, it really... I really even stopped caring on getting followers anymore. Like, I'm good.
You're not wrong. That's what I hear from most people, like all the news organizations and everything. They really don't care about that anymore. So, wow. Yeah.
Follow us here on Superhero at Superhero Speak. Make sure you follow.
We're an oasis in a pond of scum.
See, some might argue we were scum in a pond of oasis.
No, on X it's on X we're just not that bad. We elevate it.
Okay, so I will say this: like I went to 10 a.m. on Saturday, which is early, but it was empty. My theater was empty, so I'm kind of curious. When you guys went, how was the crowds? Don, like, was there a crowd there, or?
There really wasn't. Now, I had originally planned to go to the small town theater that I went to see Beetlejuice, which, had a full theater back then. Didn't happen, so I went to one of these big megaplexes. But even this big megaplex, it's in a town called Norwalk, which is still small in itself. So there was only like maybe 10 people there. We saw it at 8:00 on Friday night. It was me and my 3 children, which again, we got an 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 15-year-old. And so, yeah, not very many people. I had a similar experience.
Okay. I saw it 11:30 this morning, and I mean, yeah, there were other people in. It wasn't filled by any stretch of the imagination, and they are showing it in IMAX and just straight 3D and in regular format. So they might have spread the audience out. I have the feeling that this movie is going to be one of those word of mouth things. That people, I think maybe it'll be bigger next week. But there is one thing that I noticed that it doesn't exactly have anything to do with Transformers 1, but I always check how many people have bought tickets when I sit down into the theater, so I know whether or not I can put stuff on either side of me. And I'm starting to notice a pattern because we've been going back to the movies now, where there always seems to be a bunch of seats that are taken by tickets, but nobody ever shows up. And I'm wondering if that's something Regal's doing to, there's this old saying when you've got a pot for tips, you always prime the pot by putting some tips in yourself, so that other people see that and go, oh, other people are tipping my.
That's totally true. That's totally true. I'm an event coordinator at part-time, and there's a bar there, and the bartender always puts like a couple ones in there. Ain't no one been in here yet. But there's there's a couple ones in there. So yeah, that's totally a thing.
So I'm wondering if they're doing it with the movies too. Like, you go to look at the movie and you see, oh, there are seats taken. So that means it's like psychologically speaking, oh, other people are going to see it. I should go see it too then. It's that thing to put you over the edge. But for this, you shouldn't need that, because like Dave said, it's surprising how few people were in the theater. But I don't see that continuing. I feel like word of mouth is going to get around. I mean, because 98% audience score, for crying out loud. It is way better than it should be.
Yeah, which leads me to my next question is, what was, non-spoiler, what was your reaction to the movie when you came out? And John, you can go first.
I laughed at a few points. They were there. Yeah, I mean, I was entertained. Like, there were parts where it was really funny, I thought, and there were parts where you're expecting the wink and a nod to the camera as they say the catch line, or that kind of thing, or the reference. And there were a few, but they were well ensconced in the regular dialogue, and except for one or two points, but otherwise, like, straights won't recognize that they're actually doing a reference thing. They'll just think it's part of the regular dialogue, which is the best kind of reference you can have. So, yeah, I mean, I laughed. It got serious. I felt serious. It was good. When I walked out the door, I was happy I'd seen it.
Okay.
James Burton here, with his comment there on Michael Bay, who was a producer of this film.
Yeah, well,
realize what everything John just said. Sorry, running the wrong way. There he is. And Michael Bay's involved with this one. I'm a huge Transformers fan. Like, I know I'm a big Star Wars fan. We've talked about that ad nauseum. I've explained that. Huge Marvel X-Men fan, obviously. But number 3 is going to be Transformers. And I went into this with a little bit of a negative bias because Peter Cullen does not voice Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, come on. Scarlett Johansson as Alita 1, Steve Buscemi as Starscream, like Lawrence Fishburne as Alpha Trion. There's good stuff here.
And just to add to what you're saying, Don, yes, they're big actors. You get the big name to put up to draw people in, but these people are also experienced voice actors as well. like Scarlett Johansson and Lawrence Fishburne, they sound good. So go on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But with that said, I really did enjoy it. My kids enjoyed it. They thought Keegan Michael he was hilarious as well, B127, but let's say it's Bumblebee. I have knives for hands. Yeah, Badassatron, right? They thought that was hilarious. Hey, I've got knives for hands. I'm gonna stab this guy. Like it was all very very funny. So anyway, in watching this movie, this really is like almost a Bible moment for Transformers, because as much as I know about Transformers, like I like the Transformers movie with Michael Bay. That's how crazy I am. I don't think I'm crazy, but anyway, that's how crazy I am about Transformers. And to finally see like how Optimus Prime and Megatron become enemies when clearly they in the first Transformers Michael Bay movie, he kills Megatron and he says, "Oh, I didn't want to do this, brother." Like, I've known that throughout my life that like Megatron and Optimus were at some point cool, but how and what happened has never been explained. And they did it here. And is it perfect? No. But I'll tell you what, it does one thing that I've always wished. They didn't even do it in the first Transformers movie. No humans.
Yeah.
Not a goddamn flesh bag to be seen. And I'm here for it. So I loved it.
Yeah. There is one problem with the show, and that's Bumblebee never shutting up. He just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks until I took his head. God damn. Cool.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I'm for those of you just listening, I'm holding up a popcorn holder, which not really good at holding popcorn because you fill this up with popcorn, it's gonna spill out this.
Yeah, they're getting crazy. I didn't see that either.
Kidding?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I went to AMC because AMC usually has 2 cool buckets, and I didn't go to Regal this time, and I could have gotten a Bumblebee head. I am so upset.
Regal. I mean, it was sitting right next to all the leftover. What's the show, the movie that sucked with all the colors and it was about the game. Oh my God, I've already forgotten it. That's how bad it is. The movie about the game movie, right? With all the old actors who were playing young actors. Holy shit, I can't remember it. Wow.
You are referencing something that doesn't exist, I believe.
No, the movie that came out only a few days ago, a few weeks ago that crashed and burned.
Borderlands.
Yeah, Borderlands, right. It's that head was sitting next to all the Borderlands t-shirts that are still there trying to be sold. So God's, it's amazing how bad that movie was that I can't remember it, but this one I'm gonna remember for a while. And yeah, this is kind of cute, but again, they're getting a little weird with how they make these popcorn things, because like you'd think you could take the cranium off, but no, it's like it opens up the back. Now I feel like I'm scooping out his brains like Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom.
Yeah,
so there you go. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
Right.
You give your.
I smiled. I liked the subtle references in the movie. They referenced stuff from the original 86 was it cartoon movie.
Mm-hmm. You don't have the touch. You don't have the power. I was like,
I was waiting.
Like I said, there were one or two of those, but
like, and it was done in a quick way. It was cute. Like I liked it. I also realized early on, this movie is for kids. It's a way to revitalize the franchise for young people. So it really wasn't geared at me. So I forgave a lot of stuff because of that. But I had like one little issue with it. We'll get into that in spoilers. And it's dumb, and it's again, well, actually two little issues, but the one is like really stupid. but the other one is like, I want to talk about it. So we'll get to spoilers. So if you have not seen the movie, if you don't want spoilers, this is your point to bail on the podcast and come back later after you've seen it. Or if you don't care about spoilers, well, here we go. All right. So my one issue, my two issues. My first one is if you watched any of the Michael Bay movies, you know that Sentinel Prime is a bad guy.
Yeah, so, no, I agree with you there. That I have very few complaints about this movie, but that is one of them. Why did we have to go back to the Sentinel Prime? Well, I didn't necessarily know. I mean, I was given the benefit of the doubt, but yeah, why did we have to do Transformers 3 again?
Also, in any of these stories, when there's a big, huge battle and there's one survivor who is now the leader and trying to help everyone, he's always the turncoat. Well,
I know
that there's nothing new there,
but they weren't really like. I mean, they weren't insulting our intelligence or anything. It's not like there was anything they could have done to make it, to hide it at all.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that's obvious to the audience, but the people in the movie have to take time to find out.
Right. Which again, because it's geared towards kids who probably didn't see the Michael Bay movies or whatever, like this is all new to them, so it's perfectly acceptable, right? Like I forgive that of it. The only other issue I have with it, and I don't know how you guys feel, as soon as they got their cogs and they could transform, Megatron went down, started becoming dark really fast. Like there was no character development. It was like, oh, I'm Optimus's buddy, and we're fist bumping, and we're doing everything for each other, and then I can transform. I'm a bad guy.
I don't feel that way though. I felt like he was constantly annoyed with how, Optimus was, dragging him into things. Like it didn't feel. I mean, it was kind of abrupt, but you're in the confines of a movie that was what an hour and 40 minutes, I think. So given that time constraint, they did what they could, but I don't feel like it was out of the blue because they both had different ideas. It's one of those things where you have two people that are great friends, and then something happens, usually political, that suddenly shows how different your viewpoints are and sometimes puts you at each other's throats. And these are people that were friends before, and that's kind of what happened here,
Right, but I mean, like the great contrast to it is Charles and Magneto, right? Like, two friends with the same goal but different ways to get it. But this get to the end result. But this was just like, it felt like I've got power now. I can transform. I can create weapons, and I like it, and I'm going to use the power. That's how it came off.
Well, when you look at the character of D16 in this movie, being friends with Orion Pax, you almost don't get it because D16 wants to follow the rules. He wants to do things by the book, but in the end, he discovers that that was no good. That got him absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
And that he was ultimately following this iconic person to a promised land that not only wasn't there, but that person that you were following made sure you'd never get there by taking your transforming ability. I mean, they're Transformers.
And killed his hero.
Well, yes. And obviously, and led to the betrayed the other primes, which included Megatronus, which I'm arriving at a point that I really appreciate is I like how they explain how the Decepticon symbol came about, how their whole, why Megatron is about this Megatronus guy, and he obviously adopts the Mega part in Megatron. So I thought that was all really cool. But I agree that it was abrupt there, Dave, at the end, where he's just like, oh, he's following these people, and like, I mean, you can sympathize that a little bit, just finding out that these iconic people that are supposed to be good, right, and true are not. So I there was a little bit of an abrupt fall there, but ultimately I saw the progression, and I could see. Don't get me wrong, him like letting Optimus go to die, like I felt that was uncharacteristic of the character. And again, his fall to the dark side, put intended, was a little abrupt, but it still didn't make sense. The only part that didn't make sense was him letting go of Optimus was a little bit of a plot contrivance. But I ultimately liked the point they made.
I will say, I think. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I think the point
would have
that
made
they
sense.
showed. Sorry, I'll continue. The point that they showed was that, Optimus Prime sacrificed himself and became this iconic just figure at the exact same time that D16 wears off following any sort of iconic prophet type character. And it just so happens to be his best friend. It was a Loki Odin moment. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
It made sense. Go ahead, Dave.
All I was going to say was it would have been better if Megatron shot Optimus. I'm just using the names I know. I keep forgetting D16 and what Optimus' name is. But if he just shot him and then he fell, like the grabbing him but then letting him go was, and I get it's a representation of what's going on. That's why he lets him go.
What did he say when he let go of him, Dave?
I don't remember, actually.
He said, I'm not saving you anymore. Like that's the whole point. He was tired of Orion Pax dragging him into crap and then him saving Orion's ass. And then after all this other stuff goes on and he loses his hero, finds out that his new hero killed his old hero and and then finds out that all his life he's been following these rules that meant absolutely nothing, just basically wiping the philosophical construct of his psyche out from under him. He finally had it. And maybe add a little bit of a power trip that he could now transform. So
into a tank, by the way, which has always been cooler than the gun.
Yeah. So he's, like
it makes more sense too.
Yeah. If they made this a series, you'd have more time to see how dilapidated and harrowing the situation is when they were on the surface. You'd have a few episodes of that to show just how grueling it is and how it wears down your soul, and the difference between how Orion Pax handles that and Megatron does. So
again, I wonder, they're the only two criticisms I have of this movie, and I also know that this movie is geared towards kids to give them an origin for these toys they're going to sell them. So I'm okay with these like looking past them. Like I said, that's the only, and that's the thing. They're the only criticisms I have.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any criticisms?
I only have those 2 points of criticisms. Did we have to do Sentinel Prime again? And I felt the fall D16 to Megatron was a little bit hasty. But I gotta say, I do disagree. I don't disagree that it was made for children, because it was clearly PG. My kids liked it, but they also knew, that shitheads like me that have been following this property, for over 4 decades at this right, like they knew we were going to be on it.
But you are a giant child.
Yes, absolutely. That's my wife. I'll tell you what.
There were little things in here too for everybody. When they were on the surface of Cybertron, and they're like, "What is all this weird green non-metal stuff here?" That's a nod to Beast Wars.
Yes, it is.
When they were doing, fighting for bringing Cybertron back to being a cybernetic and biological world.
Yes.
So, Don.
I'm sorry. I thought of one more complaint.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I meant to mention this. The quintessence. I did not like the way the quintessent looked.
Yeah, it did look different from the. Go ahead.
Yeah, they should have like 5 faces, hence the quint. So that I'm sorry, that was the only other complaint that I could levy against it.
We only did see one, but they should have made it apparent.
Yeah.
Like, it did look different from the original that they showed in the shows in the comics.
And I'm going to say that too, that they kind of looked like the junk bots.
The junk bots mixed with Independence Day aliens. You know,
yeah.
But going along with what you said about like this movie is to sell toys, so they don't worry about how much it actually makes. Counterpoint to that, and bringing it back to my roots, of course, which I love talking about. They also know what the effect is of having a really good show on those expected sales, vis-a-vis My Little Pony Generation 4.
I would say that this should be turned into a show. Now that this movie is out and we get a good basis, now we should have the early days of the Cybertron War cartoon. And I would love to see that, but I don't know that they would have to come up with a showrunner, a very special showrunner like they did with My Little Pony, that can walk that line between it being a kid's show and also servicing us. It's the same. It's the Bugs Bunny effect, right? Like kids can sit there, go, "That's funny," and parents are sitting there going, "Oh my, how did the kids not notice that?" Like that's a hard line to walk. And I don't know that Hasbro, with the way they've been running lately and destroying like Wizards of the Coast branch and all that, and what they've been doing about making everything about the bottom line, I don't know that they'd be able to walk that line very well, and they would probably ruin it as a show. I'd like to see maybe them give it a try, but my hopes wouldn't be held up that it would be as good as this movie's plot and writing was.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to see a Transformer property that doesn't have like Steven Spielberg's name on it. Yeah, I don't want to see it lose quality. I think that's one of the good things about this movie is you can say what you want. You can say they don't care; they just want to make money on toys, but they still put effort into it. Really, really good effort.
Spielberg gave us Tiny Toons, so he could do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly my point. We need his fingerprints, and she's holding prints, and like, it's like kids won't get it, but man, parents do.
We criticized this movie, but we all did enjoy it. So what was one of your favorite things about the movie? Don, you can go first.
My favorite thing about the movie is just after all these years, like I finally know how Megatron and Optimus Prime came to be and went from friends to bitter enemies. It makes a lot more. I mean, obviously I've been following this stuff. The War for Cybertron and Fall for Cybertron games are absolutely excellent. If you haven't played them, you should. But it deals with that, but you still never knew what, like it could, right? Because it never makes sense. Like, why would the Transformers war on Cybertron? If everything was straight, which at this point it is, right? He's got the Matrix of Leadership. It's now bursting with Energon. What screwed it up? And we see now that this unfortunate event where this D16, now Megatron, is just decided, I'm not going to follow any sort of like prophetic heroes. They're just going to lead us to shit. And then here is a legitimate, like self-sacrificing hero that wants to lead the Cybertronians to golden age, but now you've got these Decepticons guys. Not sure if you guys saw the mid credits or whatever.
Yeah.
But now you've
unfortunately
got
this I had to pee as soon as the credits started.
I get it. But it's the basis of the whole fucking conflict that has, been kind of going on for 40 plus years now. So that's cool. That's crazy, actually. But it's fun that they just now revealed this, though. Like, that's kind of crazy to think about.
And isn't it funny? It's like when we first heard this was coming out, it's like, oh, this is another cash grab. It's, the death of imagination. They're just pulling another movie out of their ass for an existing product. And what happens? Damn, they actually did a good job. I'm actually glad they gave us this story.
Yes. See, aren't you glad I made you guys watch this? How about you, John? What was one of your favorite things about this movie?
It's one of my favorite things, and one of the saddest things, I think, is how a new situation can take two people who are friends and tear them apart. It's my favorite because it's a really good lesson to teach kids that this kind of thing can happen. And this is what makes real friendships. Because if you get through this, whether it's a relationship with your significant other or a friend, if you can make it through this kind of stuff and still be friends or have a relationship, then it's real. But you also have to realize that sometimes there's no way to save a relationship because because a situation or politics or whatever, other things that we're not allowed to talk about, that those things can do this to two people who had a really solid friendship. That and the jokes that I genuinely made me laugh. Some of the stuff that B did was hysterical.
Yeah.
So, I just, there you go.
I was going to say, Keegan-Michael Key is one of my favorite comedians. And the fact that he did was just, I wasn't sure at first, but after watching the movie, I'm like, yeah, that was good. He was funny.
John Hamm was Sentinel Prime. He does a good job of being the upright cad.
Mm-hmm.
And Vanessa Liguori was Arachnid. Arachnid, which I was like, I love Beast Wars, and Arachnia is like one of my favorite characters. And I was hoping that that was her when I first saw her on screen, but no, must be one of her ancestors.
I loved one of the things I loved about this movie was the development of Optimus Prime throughout. And he was a screw up, right? But he had hope, right? That's the key thing about the character. He's a hopeful character. He wants something better for the miners, for the people in his situation, and that's consistent throughout the entire movie. They did a good job of writing that. Chris Hemsworth did a good job of representing that in the character. And then the whole bit of Alpha Trion and him and Alpha Trion having all these words of the gung-ho speech, the halftime pep talk. And
Lawrence
then
Fishburne doing his best bit, his same bit.
But then you see Optimus repeat that with the other minor bots to get them to join in. And it was oh, okay. He got inspired by someone, which then made him the guy who inspires all the Transformers in the future. That was a great character development moment. So I love that aspect of the movie. I mean, those things are really well done in this movie. And my criticisms are just, these are little minor things, but I also understand who the core audience is. It's I hate using this example all the time, but Teen Titans Go. Just know you will hate it eternally until the day you die. But when I first sat down and watched that with my son, who was 10 years old at the time, nine or 10 at the time when that came out, and how much he loved it, and all of a sudden he loved these characters, I was like, oh, now I get it. Like, it's not for me, and I'm okay with that. But I mean, I still enjoyed it, you know. So,
Thronkill says, "Was it a society like in Robots?" It was Cybertron before any flesh bags got involved in the war. So yeah, I mean, it was a broken down society because they had lost a war, although they didn't know it. So
are we just flesh bags now? Is that what am I getting from this?
Meat popsicles? I don't know what it
Well, a little HK-47 for you, Star Wars: The Old Republic fans.
Okay. So, okay, I'll ask this too. Favorite character and least favorite character. John, you can go first.
Alita won. Because she told it like it is. Like you were saying, like Orion Pax and how he was inspiring and everything. But she walks up and says, "You know what? Your ideas are dumb, but they're filled with hope, and that's what we need." It's like paraphrasing, but you know, but keeping it real. So I like that. You always need a truth teller in a group.
Do you have a least favorite character?
Not really. I mean, you know, I am sad that Soundwave didn't have Ravage or Razorbeak come out of him, but otherwise,
yeah, that's
that's
for the sequel.
Probably.
How about you, Don? Oh, okay. Gotcha.
No, I'm done. I'm done. Let Don go.
Yeah, well, you know, listen, Orion Pax or him becoming Optimus Prime, that's always going to be my favorite character since I was a young boy. You know, like I mentioned, I didn't really grow up with a father or anything, so I had to get my inspiration from the stuff I watched, and Optimus Prime was a big part of that. And so to kind of see him go through this transition and ultimately become Optimus Prime and get his cool Energon axe that did all sorts of cool stuff, like I was definitely into it. So it's always going to be Optimus for me. Least favorite, Arachnid. I just felt she was a little out of place, and you know, it's like I don't know. She was like, you could tell she was just evil. Like, I don't know. She seemed out of place. She didn't really have a lot of lines of dialogue, so you don't even know why she's doing what she did. She know about this trickery? Like, did she help Sentinel Prime?
Yeah.
So I feel she got the least. I mean, she was really just the muscle for the bad guy's side in this movie and nothing else.
Underused, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So she would have to be my least favorite character in this movie.
Yeah, I actually will second that for least favorite character. Like, she was just a plot device. They used her at the end, to show all the Transformers what was really going on. But me, favorite character will always be for Transformers, the plucky little sidekick Bumblebee. Like, that he was always my favorite character growing up. Favorite character in the Michael Bay movies, favorite character in this movie. So yeah, I guess unless you guys have something else you want to say about this movie, I think we can wrap this one up and go around and give a score and final thoughts out of 10 Transformers. Cogs, 1 out of 10 cogs. And John, you can go first.
Oh, I'm giving this. I gotta think about it for a second. I'll give it an 8.5. It's way better than it should be. I mean, I genuinely enjoyed myself. I laughed. Some of the audience laughed while I was there. I mean, there was only like 8 other people in the theater. again, I feel like next week there's going to be larger crowds at this. But yeah, it was actually, I'm glad I got to see it. Like it was worth the money for once. So yeah,
Okay.
8.5.
All right, Don.
Oh, I'm gonna give this 9 cogs for sure. I mean, a Transformers movie that didn't have any humans involved. The last time I went to see an animated Transformers movie in the theater, I left crying because Optimus Prime was dead.
Oh yeah, well.
And not to mention, I now know a lot more about the origins of the relationship between Optimus Prime, Megatron, and how the whole Autobots and Decepticon thing started. So, yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. So, 9 out of 10 cogs for me.
All right. I will agree with John's score. I'm going to give it an 8.5. It's a really good movie. I don't think it's the best movie I've seen this year, but I enjoyed it. If you're a Transformers fan, you're definitely going to enjoy it. If you're a kid or a kid at heart, you're going to enjoy it. And yeah, go see it. This movie is not doing that great this weekend, so go see it. Go see it.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Yes. All right. Well, let's bring this one home. Let's wrap this up. Let's go around the room, and I have a question. Did you learn anything this week, or do you have any recommendations? And Don, you can go first.
Did I learn anything? Well, I learned that I'm not the only person that really, really enjoys Transformers. So that's nice. But as far as what I recommend, I know we didn't talk about it, Dune Prophecy, but I just watched Dune 2. I don't know what the subtitle is, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm not a Dune fan. In fact, the thing is Dune people, you Dune people out there, they're always telling me, oh, Star Wars came from Doom, right? I mean, a Messiah in the desert. And I'm like, okay, well, guess what? One Star Wars and it has 9 movies and a multi-million-dollar franchise, and the other doesn't. So anyway, but nonetheless, I still recommend it.
Okay. As Don calms down, John.
Well, as always, I'm going to give an anime recommendation. The anime is called, and I wish JD could hear this. The Magical Girl and the Evil Lieutenant used to be arch enemies. It's one of those the villain and the hero fall in love kind of thing. But this one, first off, each episode is only like 12 minutes, so it's a really easy, fast watch. But second, it has one of my all-time favorite characters that I never knew I needed, which is the heroine who's a magical girl. There's another magical girl that she's also friends with, but when she shows up, like on the inside, she shows up. It's like, oh, my friend, I haven't seen you for so long, and I've missed our talks, and it's just I really need to be in your presence. And outside, she says "fuck" and then slams her hand, just beams her. Like I don't know. It took me by surprise, and the character when she's on screen is hysterical. So yeah. So the Magical Girl and the Evil Lieutenant used to be arch enemies. It's on Crunchyroll, and it's really, I think the love story's really fun too. But just that other character that comes in for a couple of the episodes just makes the whole thing worth it.
All right. I learned, what did I learn this week? I learned that Don is a giant stand for Transformers.
Yeah.
But that's all right, because we are what we are. I am to recommend, first off, if you've gotten this far on the podcast and you haven't done so yet, please click that subscribe button, click that bell for notifications so you don't miss us when we go here live on Sunday nights. If you like what we're doing, smash that like button. It really does help with the algorithm, gets our show out there even more. And if you're inclined, go check out our merch store. The link is in the description below. We have some great Superhero Speak t-shirts out there, and we'd like to see you sporting them and supporting the show. Also, I will recommend you go to our website, superheroespeak.com, where you can find the podcast every week. Links to all our social media, top page, comic book reviews by our good friend Chris, and so much more. So, yes, that is it, boys and girls. I also recommend, yes, go watch Penguin. I haven't seen it yet, but I will watch it this week, and we will talk about it next week on this show. We'll continue our Agatha All Along talk and so much more. But on that note, boys, as always, I will say thank you for watching. Don't let you get caught in the door. Have a good week.
Don't let your cake get caught in the door.
Superhero speak!